What's up, everybody? This is Zach
And Amy.
And Shad.
with Be a Light. We hope that you've been having an awesome week. Tonight is the night, or today, or whenever you're going to be listening to this. I have to remember not to put times on these things. We're going to be talking about what God has done or taught us through 2019. We're wrapping up the year, and I know everybody's like, the decade's like wrapping up. We could have done a decade show. He learned me a lot. But this year, I think I've grown the most out of the whole decade. So just want to kind of jump into that. So whoever wants to go first, more than welcome.
I'll go first.
I had to speak into it, man. We're changing how we
we said
talk.
the microphone's different. We gotta get used to it.
So we can you can see our faces.
Well, the day after Thanksgiving of this year, it's my habit to wake up, go drink some coffee, and read the Bible each morning. And that has been one of the best habits I've ever formed in my life. So if you don't do that, I advise you do that. But this year, the day after Thanksgiving, while I was driving to Panera Bread, the Lord was just bringing these different things that I'd overcome recently to mind. And the day before that, he was talking to me about stones of remembrance. So when I got to Panera Bread and I started writing it all down, I realized that I had actually knocked out a lot of stuff. And what I realized he was doing was showing me he showed me what day it was. At first I thought I was doing like a cliche Thanksgiving exercise, but then I realized it was actually Black Friday. And all of the things that we've been working on up until this point has actually been like recovery from debt. Like I've been operating in the negative. I've been in the red up until this point. And I'm probably still in the red to some degree, but it's just been interesting to see this process of life recovery. But to be like more specific, what have I overcome in this past year? I would say more than anything, I've just
Sirens are on our side, just in case you hear them. I wanted to say that.
Just the whole encompassing idea of self-control and growing and controlling my thoughts and controlling my feelings and controlling my time and controlling what I eat and just whatever. But just seeing that fruit over time of being able to be in control of myself. That's one thing at least that I feel like I've achieved in 2019.
It's a good one to get. That's a good one to.
Oh yeah.
To achieve.
Absolutely.
Amy, what about you?
I'm thinking about the self-control thing. I don't know, there's a lot that's happened in this past year, and I've been seeing different verses or just comments or notes about the topic of endurance recently, and it's just something that stood out to me. But there's just been so much that's happened this past year, and it's just like when I think about it, it's like, how did we get through all of that? And I started the beginning of this year being extremely sick, but actually New Year's Eve was radically healed, and then just was walking out, having like a healthier diet and, more self-control. But also just cutting things out, but, and just becoming more healthy. And then, things with family, and then, being in a job that was really stressful to starting a company, which was pretty stressful. I don't know. It's just been a lot. And I've just learned more and more through all the experiences of this year. Because it wasn't a bad year or anything like that. It just, there were a lot of obstacles that tried to get in the way. But realizing how much like endurance and strength that I've been given and that I've been able to operate in. And I know there was a period of time where things were like really fresh as far as like feeling the hurt from like family things and everything. And there were just so many moments when I feel like the phrase like dig a little bit deeper was like my not motto, but it was like the thing that God would keep telling me, because it wasn't about me like digging deeper. I mean, it was into myself, but it was into him as well. And this has definitely been a year of me being stronger. And like when you mentioned like the decade thing, I was like, I don't want to think about myself 10 years ago, because like I had like this time 10 years ago was when I was like hospitalized and like put on like suicide watch and things like that. And now like the things that have happened this past year, like me 10 years ago would never have been able to handle that kind of stuff. I could barely handle just going to college, like, but I hadn't really thought about that until right now. But it's just like, it's just amazing, like the strength that God can give you. And I know he will continue to grow. So yeah, I think endurance and strength are kind of my main things for this year.
For me, I would probably say there's so many. Like this year's been very, very interesting.
Eventful.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest for me is trusting God.
Yeah.
Like really like learning how to trust him, and that he's got everything taken care of, that I didn't mishear him, or it wasn't me. There's all of these things, like going from, I'm not saying that I was like the best band director in the world, but I was successful. Like I had a good program going. Like I literally could have stayed there until I retired.
Yeah.
Like I would have been comfortable. I would be making more money than I am right now, but there's a cap to all of that. Money's not everything, but the potential with our business now, there's really no cap. It's just how much we could do. But it's that trusting him and seeing how fearful the devil was, because he came at us hard. It was hard. Like he was afraid of what was about to happen, and he literally did everything to try to keep us from doing it, from financial attacks to just fear in general. Like all of these things, like trying to pile up on us as a couple and as individuals, you know, using different situations to kind of break that up. But it all came back to, at the end of the day, I'm going to trust God because he's the one that's worth trusting. Like, this guy literally lies to me every day of my life. Like, why would I trust you? Like, you crazy. I'm not. You're crazy. And it's also, one of the things that I'm still learning and trying to wrap my head around is his vision for me, his dream and design for me is better than anything that I could ever come up with. Because I remember, like, I wanted to be a band director so bad. Like, I wanted to be a high school band director. That was my dream, was to be a high school band director of a big band. And I got that dream. And it was awesome. It was a ton of work. It was stressful and all of that, but I got to do it. And then it was going back to that trust thing. It was like, God was like, I've got something better for you. And like, I had been wanting to go like full-time video for a long time, but all my priorities were in the wrong places. Like, God was not number one, you know? So it was just like learning to just, all right, well, I'll work with, you know, it's like that co-labor thing. It's like, I'm going to work with you, man. He was like, but you got to like get in the right lane. You're over here.
Yeah.
You're going down the one-way street,
Yeah.
and I've got the freeway over here that's fast tracking you. And you're wondering why people are yelling at you going down the one-way street.
Or you can be on the freeway going the wrong direction too. I've been that.
But I, like, just decade perspective, I've been 19 a decade ago. And that, like, I was a year or so into 2 years. Yeah, this has been my second year into college. And I was in a bad relationship, controlling relationship. I wasn't happy. Like, I was at, you know, ends with my parents. Like, me and my dad did not get along. My mom would send me scriptures and I'd get angry at her. You know, it was just all this stupid stuff. But looking at, like, the huge change over 10 years, like, this past year is impressive. The 10 years is impressive as well. But I think this year, in my opinion, was more impressive than the last 10.
Yeah.
Like, that's just crazy to me, you know?
I understand that completely. It's 10 years ago, I was... I was just living a life that was just disobedient to God. Like, I knew he made it clear where he wanted me and where he didn't want me. And I was doing exactly what he didn't want me to do.
Yep.
That's where I was at 20 years old. And it was not working in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting you say that I also feel like this past year, or the past couple years, there's been so much growth to where, like, the other 8 years of the decade made them look like they were a waste of time.
Yeah.
But this is what happens when you actually choose to give God everything and not just bits and pieces or nothing at all.
Yeah.
Because I spent a lot of this past decade actually giving God like 50%. And then that 50% does nothing. 100% does everything.
Yeah.
It's all or nothing response. That's what we're looking at. It's got to be all or nothing.
True or
And
false?
Yeah, and I feel like that's, ooh, he's the truth. That's good. I like that one. But that's where we as a group have entered into is all. And I think we all entered into all at the same time, even though we weren't linked up at that point in time.
Yeah.
And we're all just like, we're giving God everything. And then everything just lines up and goes.
Because, like, in us, like, having those changes around the same time, you know, God used it in lining us up and putting us together at the right time. Like, it's not a coincidence at all.
Yeah, God doesn't deal with coincidences.
It just messes with my head a little bit. Like, I can go in circles and circles and circles when it pertains to like free will versus predestination. And it's like, it's really weird because I can see all these processes that I went through in my life to come to the point where I finally gave God everything. But the fact that you guys did it at the same time, and I knew, Judah, I mean this in the least offensive way possible, you were also living like an idiot. But then all of us just decided we were going to really get right with God, and then God's like, shh, you know?
Yeah.
It's cool. It's mind-boggling. It's like my mind's in a bottle.
Yeah. Sirens are
10 years
on our
ago,
head.
people would have been making that joke. Blades of Glory. Sorry.
Well, like, I don't know. I don't want to get down in that, the predestination or like free will kind of stuff, but it just shows me like God's designs. And going back to what I was talking about, are better than ours.
Yeah.
Like they're handcrafted. Have you ever seen like something that's handcrafted?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Amazing. And then you look at, like, I think about when we were growing up, McDonald's toys were awesome.
Yeah.
They were awesome. You know,
Hot Wheels.
You know, yeah. But they, like, there was actually something to them. There was sustenance to them.
Yeah.
I was thinking about, like, I had it's mine, by the way. It's my Optimus Prime, not my brother's. He gave it to me. But anyway, I had this Optimus Prime. It was Gen 1 Optimus Prime. My brother gave me this Gen 1 Optimus Prime. It's on Be a Light now. But anyway.
Move on.
It was made of, part of it was made of metal. Mm-hmm. Like the back end of it, like his legs, was made of metal. Now, I've had probably 100 Optimus Primes in my lifetime, and every iteration seems to get crappier and crappier. And I think we can examine that as, like, if we're watering down the word or we're watering down our relationship with God, it's not God changing. We're watering it down to make it comfortable with us. It's making
Absolutely.
it easier. His design easier. Oh, well, if I do this, then this will make me happier. It's like, no, if you stick with that original design, like my nephew has my Optimus Prime, and like he was playing with it the other day, and it was like, that is a toy. Like, it is actually something to hold, you know?
Well, it's like, you know, we're talking about looking in the past and, you know, just examining things. Like, I think, well, I know that there is this lie about like wisdom comes with age. And it's like, wisdom comes with choice.
Yeah.
Like, you have to choose to learn from what you're being taught or learn from your experiences. And it's like, you know, because, you know, like looking back over even this year, but definitely in the last 10 years, it's like there are many times, many years, and I think we all kind of had the same consensus. It's like there were a lot of years that seemed like it was wasted because we weren't learning from our choices. And I mean, God uses everything and nothing's going to be wasted. But, you know, it's like, I mean, we can't play the shoulda, woulda, coulda game, but it's like when you think about it, it's like there are so many times when I did not choose to learn from what was going on. Like, I think about, like, when I was in college, it was so hard for me to finish because I would allow myself to be stressed about what I hadn't completed versus seeing, like, what I had and feeling like I couldn't move forward And it would always create stress in my body. It would create sickness, which would then keep me from being able to finish school.
Yeah.
And like it was a cycle. And it was not something I was trying to do intentionally. It was just like, it just kept happening. But it's like, if I had just trusted that God would take me through it and that I could accomplish these things, you know, it probably would have been a lot easier. You know, it's just simple mindset changes, which it's simple in concept, but you know, when you actually do it, but it's like, it would have been a lot easier on me if I just changed my mind. You know?
Yeah. One of the things I was just thinking about was, like, God has helped teach me, and I know He's done the same with all of us, is actually enjoying reading and hearing the Word, either pure Word or being taught. And I know for the longest time, I remember sitting in church, zoning out. It was like just something to check off the list for the week, you know, to make my parents happy because they were the pastors and everything. I went to church. I ran the slides. Now I get to go do what I need to go do. But now it's like I actually enjoy reading the Word.
I can't function without reading the Word now. I couldn't function before. This has allowed me to function.
And I think that just, like, you have a daily routine. And it's something that I'm still working on because, like, there's days where I'll read the Word and I just feel really good. It's like I'm literally feeding my spirit. And then there's days it's like I let everything else control what's going on. Oh, I gotta go to Pensacola, and then I gotta film, and then I gotta come back and I gotta edit, and then I'm gotta talk to this client and this and this and this and this and this, and then it's 10 o'clock and I haven't even opened a Bible. And like I feel that during the day, but when I've taken time and started building that habit, and again, like, I'm just being transparent so people know it's not like we're in our ivory towers, you know, because I think that's what a lot of teachers or, you know, people like, oh, well, they're just being religious. Like, I struggle with reading the Word every day. Like, that's just the truth. But when I make the choice to make the time, my soul is fed and I feel so much better and I enjoy the day way more.
Yeah.
Because, like, the truth is being taught to me.
Absolutely. It's just been interesting for me over these past couple years, like, just seeing how much it can affect your day to just spend time with God before you do other stuff. It's, like, mind-blowing almost. Like, I can go to work and... like, I'm created to do the job that I do. And I feel like most people probably are, kind of get sorted where you're supposed to be. But it's like God flows through me in a way at my job that it won't happen anywhere else.
Yeah.
Because I was created for that job. And, like, just the energy and life satisfaction I have from allowing God to work through me at my job it's incredible. But when I come in and, like, I haven't spent any time with God, I haven't gone 3 days without reading my Bible, like, it ain't like that at work. I'm wanting to snatch these little old people on the ground. I don't do it, but I don't mean I don't want to.
Armbar them. They're like, what is he doing? Margaret.
But, like, if I'm really maintaining a place of fellowship with the Lord, it doesn't even matter what these people do. It's like it just bounces off of me, and all I can do is love people. So, what you were saying a minute ago about the Optimus Prime thing, and about this is important. Optimus Prime is important. God builds things well.
Yeah.
You were talking about, like, handcrafted things. We don't have a lot of handcrafted things anymore because they cost a lot of money. It takes a lot of time, and we want things quick and fast. maybe a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I had this dream where I saw a friend of mine and he took this completely raw chicken and he put this chicken in the microwave to cook it and took it, but he battered it. So like he wanted fried chicken by just taking this chicken and put it in the microwave. And he took that thing out and it looked bad. Like the batter was like splotchy on this chicken. And I was like, no, dude, you're not going to eat that chicken. And he goes to like go eat it. And this chicken stands up and starts clucking. It doesn't even have a head, so I don't know how it was clucking. But
Oh my gosh.
when I woke up, like I knew what the Lord was trying to say to me. Like to just not rush what he's trying to do. Like we need to be obedient and we need to be faithful to what he's trying to do. But it's like there is a time where he transitions things. Mm-hmm. And talk about overcoming things. I used to be bound by fear.
Yeah.
Here in the past year or two, fear is not a problem in my life anymore. But with no fear comes the problematic issue of wanting to run ahead of where God's at right now.
Right.
So that's a whole other thing that I'm needing to overcome right now.
Yeah.
But I know that dream and the season I'm in, I'm learning that he's gonna batter that chicken and he's gonna put it in that oil and it's gonna fry and it's gonna be really good. And he's not gonna let me take it and throw it in the microwave and see what happens. 'Cause that's not gonna be a good result.
He's gonna put that pickle juice on it, man.
Sure.
Well, it's like, I know this is getting like kind of literal, but trying to go with the metaphor, like, it's like microwaves, it's just pretty much meant to just reheat things. It's like to get the really good thing, you got to do the right process.
Yeah.
Like that's just, and like, I don't know. It's just funny thinking about fried chicken because it's like, that's like one of like Zach's like favorite foods. And for a long time, it was just like, I found it very intimidating to fry chicken and everything, but like I've done it a lot and it's gotten way easier for me. So it's just like, if you just take the time to, like, if there's, you know, a process or something that God's wanting to build in your life, it's like, if you just take the time to allow him to teach you to do it and you practice it, it can get easier. It's like, it may seem intimidating at first, but you can fry that chicken. I know that's kind of, I'm doing a Zach right now. But I don't know. It's just like, it just makes me think of that because like it was kind of an intimidating thing for me. And it's like, we can't rush things. But it's like, I mean, we've been talking about like looking, you know, from 10 years ago. It's like, I remember being in that place and just feeling like I was so stuck and nothing was ever going to move. And now when I think about my life, it's like there has been so much that has happened. Like, it's crazy. Like, it's really crazy.
Well, even today, you're like, I wish things would slow down. So it's.
I'm like, but I'm really excited about this next year. And like, I'm generally not someone who is like New Year's or like that sort of thing, but there's just something about this next year that I really feel like God's wanting to do something new in that I think there's a lot of things that are going to be broken down and cut away in this next year in a good way.
Yeah.
And like as we're just sitting here like talking about it, like I really feel like he's wanting us to speak into this upcoming year. And I don't know what y'all's thoughts are about that, but I was reading something earlier today and I don't know, just when we were sitting here talking about, I've just been asking God, like, you know, what is it about this next year? And like we've been talking about, like, building things with quality, and like the only way that you can do that is, make sure that from like the foundation up, things are good. And I was reading Isaiah 54 today, and it's one of my favorite places in scripture. But there's a part in it. This is starting in verse 11. It says, "O storm-battered city, troubled and desolate, I will rebuild you with precious jewels and make your foundations from lapis lazuli." It's a type of gem. I will make your towers of sparkling rubies, your gates of shining gems, and your walls of precious stone. I will teach all your children. I'll teach all your children, and they will enjoy great peace. You will be secure under a government that is just and fair. Your enemies will stay far away. You will live in peace, and terror will not come near you. If any nation comes to fight you, it is not because I sent them. Whoever attacks you will go down in defeat. I have created the blacksmith who fans the coals beneath the forge and makes the weapons of destruction. I have created the armies that destroy, but in that coming day, no weapon turned against you will succeed. You will silence every voice raised up to accuse you. These benefits are enjoyed by the servants of the Lord. Their vindication will come from me. I, the Lord, have spoken. And like before that, he's talking about how like he turned his face away from, his people in, allowing them to be given to their sinful desires, but then it opened the way for Jesus coming and being despised, but that being used for him to die and raise for us. And but I love this part about rebuilding, and I really feel like this is kind of a weird thing, but there's a show. Just follow me. There's a show called Doctor Who, and there's a lot of it where they're traveling in time, and it's kind of a repeated thing where they kind of go to like old churches and things like that in the future, and they've pretty much become like museums and stuff like that. And a lot of it is actually like that over in Europe. It's a British show. And it's just something that's I've been thinking about for a while. Like, I really feel like in this next year, there's going to be a lot of breaking down of religious boundaries and God wanting to build, like what this was talking about, something that is really beautiful and pure, and cutting away the things that don't need to be there. Yeah. And I know that it has to start with us, like individually. And I know that he's already doing that. But I don't know what it's going to look like, but I don't know. I just really feel like this next year is going to be a big step in the right direction of cutting away things that don't need to be there. And that's not something to fear, because I know it can sound kind of intense, but he corrects those that he loves.
What do you have to do before you cross the Jordan?
Get what?
Circumcision.
Yeah.
You gotta cut away.
Yeah. I don't know what y'all's thoughts are or anything like that, but I don't know. I just really felt that.
What I feel like for us, as well as people that are listening and for the body, is to get rid of fear and trust God.
Yeah.
Like, it's something that has immobilized me many times. It tries to still, but if we're not living in that spirit of fear, then we're able to take action, because fear is an immobilizer.
Mm-hmm.
Love is an enabler.
Yeah.
It enables us to do what God is asking us to do. So we need to start walking in His love, and He freely gives it. So it's nothing that we have to do. It's just we just accept it. We don't have to, clean ourselves up or anything. It's just, just being open to it, because the Father loves us. And I think that's a big thing that we all need to take, is that enabling love for us to get into the design that He has for us.
Yeah.
Anything?
Not off the top of my head.
Amy, why don't you pray about the words that's been spoken going into the new year and everything, because our next episode will be in the new year. You won't hear us until next decade. I had to make the dad joke. Judah wasn't here to make it, so I had to do it for him.
See you next decade. Yeah, I can pray.
It was worth it.
Lord, I just thank you for all the testimonies that we have about just this past year, but the numerous ones that we have over the last decade. And God, I pray that it wouldn't just be this in the moment because we're going into the new year and that's the trend of what people do, but it's something that we would remember every day, how you've helped us to overcome. And that's what we can be grounded and rooted in, is just remembering what you have done and how that's what our faith is. It's what our faith is built on, and that we will continue to grow and move forward. And God, I just thank you for this word that you're speaking over this next year. God, I just thank you that you are moving things into the right place. And God, that you are showing us how to be beautiful, how to be exactly what you've designed us to be. God, I thank you that you already see us that way and that you're just guiding us, and every little step is shaping us into exactly how you see us. I thank you that we can trust in every little step you ask us to take. I thank you that we can trust your word, that it will never fail us. And God, I just thank you so much for what we're going to see. What we've already seen is amazing. And I thank you that there is so much more to come, and that we get to be a part of your glory that's going to unfold in just the wrapping up of this year, but even into the year to come. We love you, Lord, and we thank you. In your name I pray, amen.
Amen.
There you have it, everybody. We hope that you enjoyed it. We'd love to hear what God has brought you through or taught you over this year and even the decade. Like sharing testimonies is so important for the body of Christ. So please jump into the comments. Let us know what your testimony is from this year or the decade. Or there ain't no time limit on God, y'all. You got something?
No, I'm good.
Okay. You had that look.
Yeah, but no, we're good.
Okay. So let us know your thoughts and all of that. If you want to support us and if you want to get the show early, all you got to do is go over to patreon.com/bealight. Toss us a few dollars. You can get either the audio version or the video version. And if you want to be a Patreon producer, you can check that out as well. And we got some awesome merch. That Yahweh shirt. One of these days I'm going to buy myself that Yahweh shirt. I can talk about it every week, like Yahweh, but it's an awesome shirt. Anyway, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. This has been Zach.
And Amy.
And Shad.
Happy New Year. I almost said Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Goodbye.